Winter's coming
I
on.
can see the shine.
Winter's coming on.
Nate Cianciola, barber extraordinaire back there. I give him credit for a good haircut. I told him I'd give him the credit for a bad haircut.
It was Wednesday, not Tuesday.
It's Wednesday?
Yeah.
I'll see how fresh it is. Anyway, I've been trying to get it for a while. I've been extremely busy, with work and everything. And it seems like when business is slow, it's more hours long, grueling, no payoff than when we're busy and doing the work. So, but we're doing that, and on the governor's call. The governor's calls are still on Tuesday. They're voting to change it back to Monday, and I don't know what that vote is going to come up with until tomorrow. But the calls last for our governor's call, and around 2 hours to 3 hours. Most of the time it's been 3 hours lately. There's a lot of bickering, a lot of stuff going on again with a couple of states are they're having some power struggles that Arizona does not have. So I'll give you that update. The other hot issue that is near and dear to my heart, we got many people that are being attacked by the de facto on the US DOT plates. Now, I've been pushing this. I had a lot of friends that had it before I got it, before I started sharing some information about it. But we got a lot of, I would say the pirates are out in full force. And
Yes, they are.
they are. Even Pastor Coleman doesn't have US DOT plates, but they're out in full force, out to collect taxes. Now, for the new members, I'll give a quick overview. I don't know where your educational process is or where your awakening is with where the difference between de jure versus de facto. Have you been on our website? Okay, you got the history portion, the education portion. Excellent resource. It's everything that's up in my brain. It's been in Brad's brain. We put it down when we get good videos. If you get any videos, share them with me. I'll forward them to Brad. If they're worth putting on our website, we will update it and put everything we can on our website. So basically everybody knows that in 1871 they created a corporation called the United States of America, and the de jure republic, the United States of America, ceased to exist. Didn't go away, but it just was dormant until we re-inhabited. So for the new members, that's what we've done. Our constitutional and our God-given right to re-inhabit the republic that the Founding Fathers gave us. So if you want to govern yourself, if you want to be part of a movement that is, I would say, very grassroots. I believe we only have 500 members. So when Jim introduces me as the governor, it's the de jure governor for Arizona for this Republic group. And be it only 500 people, I appreciate all 500 because, like me, they've stood up and they say they're not going to take it anymore. The corporation and every sub-corporation is out to take money from you and make money in any way they can. And they do that by statutes, rules, and laws, seatbelts, everything they get. But part of that remedy for us was to register our legal person, our all capital name, for us as the real man on a MCS 150 form with the U.S. Department of Transportation. Doing that, you're telling them, you're registering them essentially, that you're a non-commercial carrier. You're not participating in commerce. Therefore, you don't have to have a driver's license. You don't have to have registration for your private automobile. Everybody has been brainwashed and convinced you have to have that. No, and everybody's doing it because they think they do have to. Now, you can't just sign up, get the MCS 150, have a plate made, and not rescind and revoke your driver's license and all the other adhesion contracts out there. And many are in many different stages of process, but when they stop you, even though you've sent them your license and they don't have a copy of it yet where they've affirmed that they have canceled your driver's license. I've got mine where it says I've canceled it. by my request. See, I haven't been stopped yet, but virtually everybody that are getting the USDOT plates have been stopped. We've got a member up in, he's actually from Utah, a very good friend of ours, got stopped in Page, Arizona,
Funny that.
2 weekends ago.
I haven't seen cops.
We know the Nazis up there are in full force, but they actually confiscated his truck. They put him in jail for 3 days. So they are getting very, very serious. We're trying to get out off the plantation, get away from them, and just be left alone. But they're pushing hard and heavy to keep us in and keep that taxation base. I mean, your registration for your automobile helps fund that MVD and everything else that's there. Also keeps you as a slave and a subject class citizen to that corporation. When you're breaking free, you got to break free of everything. So anybody that's out there considering, and I've talked to a few that are currently have court battles coming up, and Jim can update you in a little bit. He's on the agenda. John, Lisa, Ron McDowell. I mean, everybody but me so far, I think, getting these DOT plates and getting out of that jurisdiction have been ticketed and had to appear in court. Great.
Haven't you had some traffic issues?
I only the company truck that our company owns has the DOT plates on it, and a guy who works with us has a driver license. He hasn't rescinded anything, and that's how the pirates adheres you to them. They make it the responsibility of the driver. If they stop somebody for the plates, the driver, if you didn't know this, the driver is responsible to ensure that any automobile or vehicle that they drive has to have insurance, it has to have current plates, and if that doesn't, the driver is responsible, not the owner of the automobile. So that's how they get you. You got a driver's license, you're a citizen. You're a citizen, you're a slave, you're a citizen, you've contracted, you've agreed to abide by their laws. When you're driving something that they feel is a fraudulent or fictitious plate. Now, my guy got 2 tickets. I handled one, I took care of it, the judge dismissed it, no problem. The next guy, he wouldn't hear me because I gave him an invoice and he was pretty pissed off. He figured a way, and not thinking I was going to have any trouble, I really just was there to settle the matter. He called me up. I was there as power of attorney. When I crossed, I was telling him that I was here as power of attorney before I crossed into the ship. And he asked me, "Are you a licensed attorney?" And I said, "No." And he says, "Well, you have no standing in this court. I can't hear you." And I said, "I just settled a ticket a month ago, in the same capacity." He said, "Is this vehicle registered or not?" So he did listen to me. And he said, "Do you have something to submit to the courts?" "Yes, here's the registration right here, and here's..." And I gave him my freedom documents, my 50-page document showing that I'm sovereign free man on the land. It shows that I'm a diplomat. Problem with me as power of attorney representing somebody else that's contracted, what I should have told them when I walked in, "Are you a licensed attorney?" I said no, not thinking he was going to give me trouble, figuring that they were just going to dismiss it like the last one. When the last item he got to was a $2,700 bill for me writing letters to tell them to settle this matter without my appearance, and they didn't. I am under injury and damage, and that's what I put the invoice for. So I'm still submitting that to the court and expecting them to pay. Once it's in and it's in default, I will be calling their bonding agent and their insurance company, and I will be doing my best to collect that bond. So. Question, Tom?
Yeah. Is it possible that being you have all your paperwork all in order that they're not bothering with you? Could that be possible or no?
Well, I haven't been stopped yet physically out since, last November when the DPS guy got me and I made that ticket go away. But I hadn't done any of that process and I didn't have my DOT plates or anything. I haven't been stopped with my DOT plates, and I really believe that how you handle yourself has a lot to do with that. And Lisa just got accosted yesterday, last evening or
Last night. Last night.
At night, okay. There was 2 cops, and they came to her door and they opened her doors and pulled her out of her vehicle because of the DOT plate. know. It's a small lady, two big cops just immediately try and bully her. She didn't want to talk to him. And I talked to her a little bit about this. Now, in my mind, she didn't say the right thing. But she's trying to stand in the right jurisdiction, saying, I don't want to talk to you. Well, they want to talk to you. And they wouldn't look at her paperwork, unfortunately. And I don't believe that she convinced them that she has a right to travel versus a requirement or privilege to drive. But regardless of that, then with two big cops bullying you, I mean, you really have to know your rights and what you're doing on this. Now, you have the right to register your legal person, they're all capital name, as a non-commercial carrier. That's what this process did. Now, Bill Dubick went to the US DOT, and I think from the summary I got, and I didn't have a chance to talk to Bill yet, they said that those DOT plates and that process is supposed to be for trucks and not cars. Is that right, Bill?
Yes.
Okay. Now, it doesn't say anything in there in the MCS 150 form about what particular vehicle, because what you do when we do this to get assigned a US DOT number registered with them is just, it's item F on subsection 3 that says you're just signing up as a registrant, then that you're a non-commercial carrier. So you're not defining that you're going to be operating or traveling in a truck or a motorcycle. I have my DOT plates on my motorcycle. I've never been stopped yet, so I don't know, but members have been stopped. Their plates have been confiscated. My guy that got stopped, first one was expired registration. The next one was no current registration. But everybody else, it seems like they're getting real hard and heavy on them. And the cop, the second one that stopped, the guy that works with me, the cop actually stopped him on the freeway when he saw him getting on the freeway. Then he called 3 other cops that were kind of newbie rookies on the force. They were only a couple months on the force, and he called them up, and they're the one, he gave them the experience to write the ticket and see what this DOT plate was. And the one cop told Jeff that they've been given orders to stop and ticket anything that does not have a legitimate state registered plate from one of the 50 states. So whether you have a sovereign plate or a US DOT plate, they're saying that it's fraudulent and fictitious on most of them that are cars. And most of them I know that they've gotten those tickets, including John and Lisa's, it's been fraudulent and fictitious. And what that does, because they're hitting so hard back, is it's a criminal violation, not a civil ticket. Okay? So they're really mad. The one cop was telling Jeff that they were told to nail everybody that has some kind of a strange plate on there. If they can't recognize it, give it a ticket. It's fictitious and it's fraudulent. So they're pushing right now. So if you don't think you know how to handle yourself with traveling versus driving, you should not do this process. Now, David first.
Underneath our current system, not our system, but the de facto current system, there is no criminal law. There's only civil law.
Well, if you understand law, criminal and civil is all commercial.
Right.
It's all about
Right.
contracting and paying
Right.
money. They assume a position of being a damaged or an injured party. That's why they move forward on it. But there's Supreme Court cases we can provide. Yeah, all you got to do is email me, and my email is on the website. You should be able to just email me and request information from me. I'll give you everything I've got. I've got many files, PDF files, hundreds of pages of documents showing that you don't have to. There's a really good article on one. It lists 30 or 40 different Supreme Court case sightings that says there's no law that requires you by the state or by the whole United States that you have to pledge or register your vehicle if it's a private commercial or it's private non-commercial automobile. The way they get you, like Black's Law and the legal system, they make the meanings of their words mean something different. So they say you're operating a motor vehicle. Well, a motor vehicle is required to be registered. A private automobile is not required to be
Even
registered.
operated is a bad word.
Operator is bad. If you're an operator, you're in commerce. You're either transporting people or goods for money. If you're a chauffeur for a limousine company or a big truck driver or anything like that, you have to have a driver's license. Even the big trucks need the CDL, the commercial driver license. But I got lots of files that show you if you really want to study this and you really want to do it. I just caution everybody, if you're not comfortable with understanding completely inside and out traveling versus driving. Driving is absolutely commercial. Traveling is a God-given right, and you can do that as long as you know how to defend that. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, Daryl.
I saw an email that went out, I believe it was yesterday, about a guy, or a couple days ago, about a guy, I think, Glendale or something. He was being, selling police and federal agents were at his house. You remember seeing that email, and you commented?
You're talking about Jamar Yancey?
Do you know any more about that?
I know something. In Colorado? No. Did you say Colorado?
I believe I saw.
I thought it was Glendale or something.
Glendale or something.
Well, the one that I think you mean is Jamar, where the cops were at his house.
Yeah.
They were serving him with a search warrant. Yeah, I knew some. I found out some more about that. It's, that's a big story. Jamar, if you remember Jamar, is big minister, big guy.
Oh, the black guy?
But yeah, you remember Jamar?
Yeah.
Really good with scripture, really good with standing on all of his God-given rights. Well, he's fighting him. I think he's fighting a pretty good battle. But what he's done is file paperwork, and he's taken over some properties. He's got foreclosed properties where the bank has foreclosed on them. If they sit empty for too long, he's going in and occupying them. He's taking them on and he's homesteading them. So that's what he's doing on several pieces. So he's in your face to the bankers right now. So when they find out what he's doing, they're pushing the buttons on it. He didn't get arrested, but they served a warrant, and they ended up confiscating a washer and dryer that was in the house. When he took it over, the washer and dryer was still there. So that's basically all they got. They asked him some questions, and he told them to get out of his house. You didn't find what you were looking for, but he looked for everything. But he's doing some Anyway, those that have been here coming for a long time, Jamar used to come in with some great stories. Every single meeting he had some encounter. I don't know if it's his energy or just his good nature. The police officers really wanted to talk to him a lot. But he stood his own, and he did really well all the time. Very, very good guy. But
there's a lot of inventory out there. There's 227,000 vacant homes now in Maricopa County.
220,000 homes.
227,000.
Yeah.
Today, I think.
Yeah. Well, I imagine there's more people like Jamar that are doing it too. It's happening.
Well, what we gotta do is get him to give us a little seminar on how to do it.
Yeah, I need a
Let's occupy.
Jim, you had a question
Yeah.
or comment?
Yeah, my comment is, in the last 2 weeks, I've had 3 different cops right behind the vehicle that didn't stop me. So I may have led to my own demise, but I had an incident at the house that I'll tell you about later. The cops showed up, and after we took care of that business, then they started on the vehicle. I had all the arguments, the paperwork. They even called Safer.
The safer button.
Safer, and a number of other people. They were calling all over the place, and when they called Safer, they were told, no, those are only for commercial vehicles. Okay, and they didn't know what to do, because I had all the arguments, I knew I had the paperwork, they were looking at it, and it's like, what is this? You know, it's like we had no idea what it was all about, so then they confiscated the plate. Fortunately, they didn't take the vehicle, but they did give me a criminal citation.
It's not a vehicle, it's a wagon.
Yeah, you mean automobile.
Wagon,
Automobile.
It's a donkey cart, actually.
right, it's a wagon.
Bunch of horses under
And
the hood.
his court case is at 300 West Washington next Thursday at 9 a.m. So he can tell you a little bit more about that. I had a hand up there,
Yeah,
Lisa.
we need to get something from the court so anyone is protected from here on out. Right, Lisa?
Well,
Lisa.
well, my thoughts are, of course, we individually, as we're stopped, I didn't feel prepared to educate cops when I'm feeling afraid, intimidated,
Mhm.
frightened. I don't need to go down the list, but isn't there a forum where we can somehow collectively educate them?
That'll be coming. I mean, as good as we can, and I'm reserved about that. I have reservations about that because I have some good friends, 2 friends up in Colorado that did just that. I went forward, I don't know if I brought that up at the Assembly meeting before, but they were gonna be good guys. They've been in the Republic, they were part of Restore America. They've been in this for a long time. They went and, they wanted to meet with the FBI and local law enforcement. They met with them and they had a lot of questions and they were talking to them. So they were peaceful, they just wanted to share some information with them they had in Colorado. Well, 2 or 3 weeks after that, the FBI shows up at their door with 2 other enforcement groups with a warrant, and they seized their computers, and they were looking for everything. All paperwork associated with Guardians of the Free Republic, Restore America plan, with everything. So asking questions and trying to set up a meeting may be good, but right now, without enforcement, without our full set of county rangers in place to help protect us and have our quick one-button call to get a hold of many friends to get to us quick, you're poking a bear. You're poking the sleeping bear.
Yeah.
So I'm reserved about it. I do want to write a letter. I have all the agencies, and I will do a letter requesting I'd like a meeting. I doubt that they will give me one, but if they do, I would do it and I'll talk to them. But I've got nothing to hide. They didn't think so either.
Well,
But
Lisa, what-
3 weeks, they gotta, they got everything confiscated out of their house.
Don't worry
Did they get
about the
arrested?
intimidation thing.
No.
I was not intimidated at all. And I tried to explain, and the cop just kept saying, no, you don't understand. Driving is a privilege, not a right. And I thought, "No."
Right.
So I
That's
had
correct.
the thing,
That's
and
right.
They didn't bother me.
Driving is a
But
privilege.
they would listen, they saw the paperwork, it's like, no, and they took the plates. So
Right.
It's like,
Right.
even if you stood your ground. it-
Well, John got stopped a couple weeks ago, and the DPS officer lady, he had me on the phone, and they had conference called me in, and I was listening on the speaker the whole time for about 53 minutes. And she was back and forth, and she was telling him she was gonna confiscate the car and do this and do that, and he was explaining real nice, like, no, you should read this, and he gave her that 24-page document that shows all the court cases, and Downs versus Bidwell, the corporation operates, the de jure operates, we just want to be left alone kind of thing. It was like, he told her, I just, hey, I really appreciate it if you, get an open mind, read some of this. This is our right to do this. You can give me the ticket, I'm okay.
Yeah,
Write
we
the
read
ticket,
it.
whatever you want.
We were at it a full hour.
Yeah. Good. That's it.
So it's like, yeah, I did,
They're-
they're forced.
They don't
I
know,
drug
they
out.
don't, man, they don't know what we're about, they don't know. All they've been fed is that sovereigns or patriots are going to be killing cops. That's what they get.
Well, I told them they were brainwashed revenue agents.
And, yeah, but
So I kind of got to the end of it,
well, yeah, you're not gonna convince them. It's like convincing a Muslim to change to Christianity. That's what it's doing. You cannot change them. It's their system's not broke. Ours is working. It's up and running. Hopefully, we'll get some relief. And in the court cases, they'll come, I think. And once they get tired of hearing from us and they get more invoices and bills from me, and I start tapping into their CAFR funds and those retirement accounts. So I'm hoping that'll do it. I mean, it's got to be in the enforcement. This is all a commercial process. I'm doing a commercial counterclaim. They're claiming that they have the right to do this. I'm counterclaiming that they don't, and when they default, then I get to do the judgment directly with their bonding company, their insurance agent. So I'll keep you posted on that. But let's wrap this up real quick. If you got any more questions, great.
Did you do a negative averment on that?
Not yet. Because I haven't sent him the invoice yet. The judge asked me to leave. He told me to leave.
What?
Yeah, that's
What?
what he said.
But I told him, you know what, I think I'm gonna leave. He said, you should leave. I said, I think I'm gonna leave. So, he finally shut up and I walked in. Daryl?
Just you or anybody else have any experiences with the banks, like especially Bank of America charging these outrageous fees? And just wondering if anybody, I mean, it just seems like, you know,
What fees? Is something new or?
well,
that you're
Bank
going
of
through?
America is gonna start charging $5 a month just to use their checking card.
Really?
Yeah, and then I've had experiences that are just outrageous fees from the bank.
Credit union.
I have Google.
Yeah.
2 years ago, they announced that they were going to increase fees across the board, and another year from now, you're going to see more fees. Because they don't need your money to, the fractional reserve system is no longer useful for them. Now they have a derivatives market to create all that money. So really, they don't need you to deposit anything anymore. So they're going to start charging more and more over time.
I just remember Tim talking about like credit card companies and how they'll want to charge you more. And there's stuff that's in the contract that if you notice them and just say, I don't consent to this because it is a contract, then they can't charge. And, I've never read the bank paperwork I get when I open a checking account, but I'm thinking it would probably be a really good idea because we may be able to object to that. Because it's all about consent and it's all about
Right,
contract.
We just recently opened a different credit union account, Lee and I did. And the more we're into the dinar, we found out that we needed to have a non-interest bearing savings account. Well, when you go and you don't ask, you just say, I want to open a checking account, savings account, and put minimum deposit down. They just open it. They don't even ask you. Well, so we were going to go back. Lee went back, took care of opening a different account, so it would be non-interest bearing. When you do non-interest bearing, all of that stuff doesn't have to be reported to the IRS, and the banks don't have a handle on some of the stuff you're doing with that savings account. So, in part of this foreign exchange stuff that's going on, the dinar, the dong, all of this stuff that's happening right now in the global economy that's happening, you need to have a non-interest bearing checking account. I've always preferred for the past 25 years credit unions. I don't deal with banks. I hate banks, but that's just me. I mean, you can get them to work for you, but there's going to be strings attached. But we didn't even know that. But she went back over talking to him and said, "Oh no, all we have to do is check this box, and you have two savings accounts, one that gets interest and one that doesn't." So it was real easy. So we just got to ask. We don't know. That's the problem. We don't know about traveling versus driving. We don't know about banking and all the special accounts they might have set up. Great.
Can you give us the latest that you know of on the dinar situation?
No. Check the internet. Rumor has it can be any day.
Put those vegetables down.
I have personal investment in dinar. Lee and I we bought dinar. We believe that it's going to happen. There's de facto big corporation, Bill Gates, all of these big boys, they're heavily invested in dinar. So I don't push it. I don't say it. Research it on your own. There's somebody locally, if you're interested, there's somebody locally that does it, and there's dinarbanker.com. There's others that will sell you dinar. So do that. Bill?
Along the lines, didn't you at some time before when they were going through all of this, when you went to this secret thing, and you emailed out asking for people,
Yes.
didn't you say that the people, the powers that be were only going to deal with the Republic and they weren't going to honor?
No, that thing, if you had dinar, if you currently had dinar and you wanted to participate in a combined effort to pool a huge resource of dinar with all the people in the Republic, they were negotiating for a higher rate of exchange because of the volume. Okay. Individually, you're going to get dinged by it, just like paying spot for gold and silver. There's a fee for people that trade it in commodities. Foreign exchange the same way. Anytime you change currency, there's money and fees to be transferred to that. And if you know about dinar right now, there's going to be a rate. Rumor has it that it's already locked in. It's just not being made public to us, the little people. The big boys are already cashing in. That's what they're doing right now. This is a feeling out process, what they're going through. The rate's probably locked in, everything's gonna do, and we get the crumbs at the end, but that's fine. It's fine if you're invested, but if you're not, then business as usual. We have one more hand over here. Patrick
Governor,
Holmes.
just before you go to the next question though.
Yeah.
Does everybody know that the Republic is no longer doing that transaction?
Yes.
That's not true either.
I heard, I did hear, and you're right, a couple of governors had told me that that deal was falling through. Everybody that signed on to be part of the Republic thing and signed the non-disclosure agreement, there's 15 in our assembly that did that, they were saying that, thanks for having the heart to do this, but it looked like it was gonna fall through. I haven't seen anything official on that. It's still open. Pastor Coleman.
If you do go with, are able to get an appointment with some of these de facto people, sheriffs or whatever, ADOT personnel, high-ups, I just want to make a point, I hope we can have several people there and have it recorded.
I think in my mind, I've already thought about that. I think 5 or 6 people would be enough. 20 would be too many.
Right, 5 or 7.
10 would be too many.
7 max.
We just want to beg for the visit. But by the letter and just the invite, if they respond back, I don't expect to get a response probably. Maybe, who knows? Sheriff Joe's busy. He don't want to talk to me. Don't matter. I get his emails all the time. I get Governor Jan Brewer's emails. She sends me nice things all the time.
If you get somebody in the media, he'll show up.
Yeah, well, there's something we need to do. We have to talk to that guy 3 on our side to tell him about the cops harassing us about our plates. See if he can get some remedy for us. Who had one up there? David? One more, last question.
Have you heard any more about when Turner's gonna go file all of our paperwork?
We've heard
Oversee.
some news about that, and it appears that as far as the meeting goes with the other countries and the financiers for helping fund this republic are coming here to us, coming here to Tim. He's not having to go there.
Well, better.
Don't know. That's what we know from that. Wrapped up. I'm going to stick around after the meeting, after the educational stuff. I'll be around for questions and answer stuff. I'll be here. So thanks.
Give him a round. That guy knows some stuff. Next on the agenda is the Secretary of State, Carla Archie.
Secretary for State.
Secretary for State, I'm sorry. Give it up.
Free state.
How many new people were there again in here? 4? 5. Just wanted to welcome you. Thank you to the people that brought them. This right here is our seal for Arizona. I'm not going to go into it all tonight, but just a little quickly. The sun rays at the top represent the 15 counties in Maricopa. Each ray is a different size because each county is different. It shows the 2 unique features of Arizona, which is the Grand Canyon and the desert. If you look on the desert side, you'll see the rattlesnake. You can't see this in the picture, but the rattler has 13 little rattles on, and those 13 parts represent the 13 colonies. The guns at the bottom are Winchester rifles that won the West, with the olive branch representing peace that goes across it. In the middle, you've got a picture of the family, which represents people, the basic unit of society, family, us. The book represents knowledge. We should always be learning, growing. The 10 Commandments is, who can tell me what the 10 Commandments are? You guys should all know this. The law of the land. That's what we really need to get back to. And the last one, the man panning for gold, represents the Western movement when the the fur trappers and the gold, all of that came. And if you look at the whole thing as a whole, when you're learning, when you're growing, when you're loving your brother, taking care of your neighbor, your family, your home, when you're abiding by the laws of the land, you're going to grow and you're going to prosper. And with that comes the wealth. And there's a lot more, but just for the people that are here, just a brief synopsis since it was up there. We've gotten some suggestions and complaints that people wanted to get a hold of the officials and couldn't do that. On the website, it now has the email address of all the officials, and thank you, Brad, for getting that done. So if you want to contact anybody, you can do that by now. Just go to the home page and go to officials, and it'll have the website there.
Good for you.
Carla,
Yes.
my email's not right. Maybe they made a new one.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, did you set that up?
Brad did. Give Brad a hand.
So you have to go set it.
Well, how do I get it?
Carla, can
Yes?
you have Brad explain that? Oh, well,
Explain what?
later.
Greg,
Later.
Greg will take you through it.
It won't take your time.
Okay. Contact information right there. Next thing, I just wanted to do a really brief synopsis on the Robert Fox seminar because you guys all got emails for that. He got 12 federal indictments. Is that right, Linda? Lisa, sorry. Is it 12 federal?
I think, yeah.
12 federal something. Anyway, he ended up getting out of all of them. He said that for a long time he was filing motion after motion after motion after motion, and every time it was denied, 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 denied. And then all of a sudden he started doing affidavits and everything changed. And he continued to do affidavits and everything continued to change. And so he just talked about the power of the affidavit, the elements of the affidavit, that sort of thing. Yesterday in the law library, I looked up in the legal encyclopedias under affidavits and studied it. There are certain things that you do need to do to have a valid affidavit. One of the things that he does in his is at the bottom of it, you know, he basically says that any unrebutted affidavit stands as truth and gives them so many days to rebut it, and if they don't, it stands as law. And so he actually puts that in his affidavit. He didn't say what he does next, whether it's he files a motion for summary judgment or what. But, and I'm not saying it works, all I'm doing is just reporting what he said, is that when he started doing affidavits, everything changed. And he's gotten out of 12 federal indictments or whatever they were. He talked a little bit about agency, and which was really cool for me because I've been studying agency really hard lately. I have a friend that is going through foreclosure, and I know that they can't represent themselves in court. There's no way. They don't have a valid deed of trust, and unless the banks have a valid deed of trust, they have nothing to foreclose with. These people could get an injunction against the banks for 10 years. Legally, they cannot foreclose until after a 10-year period unless they correct the acknowledgement, which was part of the problem with this deed of trust. And so I've been wanting to go to court for these people to get an injunction, but I know that the first thing that the attorneys and the judges are going to say is, oh, you can't represent them, you're not an attorney of law. Even with an attorney in fact, there's case law that says that you can do whatever for the person outside of court. And so I went to the legal encyclopedia and started studying attorney in fact in the 1936 American jurisprudence, and they referred me to agency. It's got some awesome things in it. Anyway, Robert Fox talked a little bit about agency. Also, in this particular case, they got a notice of trustee sale, and on page 2, it says this is an attempt to collect a debt from a debt collector. And they said, you know, any information will be used to obtain a debt, but they don't put the whole paragraph in there. The whole paragraph includes the verbiage, and this is required by federal law, that you have 30 days to dispute the validity, if I remember this correctly, 30 days to dispute the validity of the debt. If you do so in writing, all collection activity, including litigation, by federal law, they're required to suspend. Well, they don't put that whole notice in there. Well, I just wrote a letter back to them. he wrote a letter back, I drafted it, whatever, and just disputed the debt and asked for validation, and that stopped everything. And I think it's important to remember who you're dealing with. You know, when debt collectors call you, the first thing that they do on the phone is they say, you know, is this Carla Barchi? And they try and get, you know, they try and verify who you are. We need to do the same thing. When I have clients and I call up doctor's offices and things to get, you know, medical information or account balances, the first thing they want from me is, you know, what authority do they have to talk to me? We need to do the same thing. Who are you?
Right.
You know, and that all ties in with the agency. That's really important. Don't overlook that. And pay close attention also to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, because I think it's pretty huge. Just little heads up for you guys. Anyway, so Robert Fox, affidavits agency, he talked a little bit about prison being voluntary. And he said federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 32, I think it was. Well, he explained it and he said that, you know, after a jury finds you guilty, they will have, you know, the sentencing, you know, you get 40 years or 20 years or 6 months or whatever it is. Then they have the family members or whoever come up and give their boo-hoos, as he put it. And then you would think after all of that, they would take the defendant off to jail. They would cuff him and take him off, but no. They actually bring the defendant up or give the defendant an opportunity to make a statement and they don't tell you this, but it's in the rule, to mitigate the damage. And if the person says to the judge, I don't volunteer, you know, I'm just not okay with this, I can't do this sentence, I don't volunteer myself for 20 years, according to him and according to the rule, they don't go to jail or prison, it's all voluntary. So I think it's something we should look at. I don't know, anyway, I don't know if it's right, I don't know if it's wrong, I'm just reporting what he said, that's all.
Carla, I think my understanding, because I went to that same seminar, was that this applies to all crimes that don't have a victim, like a drug crime or whatever.
Well, in federal rule, it talks about that it's about sentencing, and that would apply to anybody, and that's being charged with a crime.
Study more.
When is the next seminar?
I don't know, he's from Texas.
Unless-
There was about 40 people there. Over half of them, I believe, were from out of state.
You asked him why he had it in such a remote location?
He's friends with Sue Taylor and Ron McBride. They brought him here. That's where they live. He also talked a little about habeas corpus. He didn't really say what it was or how to use it. He just gave a couple stories from other people on how it worked. Those of you that went, is there anything else that really stands out in your mind? I didn't look at my notes for that before I came here. I just decided last minute to tell you guys. Anyway, that was kind of the gist of it. He didn't really have an organized outline. It was just a lot of comments. But the big thing for me that I got out of it was the affidavit and how for him everything changed when he started doing the affidavits. But you need to make sure and put in the end that you know you give them so much time to respond.
That standard is true.
Yes. The next thing I had is the role playing for traffic stops that you guys wanted. I'm still working on that. There's a lot of different ways to do that, a lot of different information. What I would like is for anybody that has information on anything to do with traffic, whether it's driving versus traveling, whether it's obtaining a right to travel card, whether it's how the driver's license was first created, or I mean the license plate I actually meant. Anything that you have on that, or any suggestions or comments that you have, if you could email them to me, it's Carla or c.barchi at Republic for Arizona, right there. If you could email me that, and then what I will do is I will take everything that you guys give me, I'll compile it into one and give you guys copies of everything, and then we can do the role playing after that. I think that'll give us a better overall presentation. Is that okay? Okay. One concern that I have for all of Arizona, and one thing that really upsets me is the foreclosures. There are some people at this seminar that were going through foreclosures, and it just makes me so mad. So I've been studying it really hard for quite a while. I'm not going through my own issues, but I like helping other people with that. One thing that, and I just wanted just to let you guys know this, one of the things that, and this is in the statutes, but just a word that I came across, this has to do with, there's a statute that says a sale is not complete if, and it goes on to say that if there was some kind of a judgment signed by a judge and the auctioneer didn't know about it, then the sale's not complete. And I thought that was very weird and very strange to me that they didn't use the word void. You know, why did they say a sale is not complete if? And it made me wonder, well, what is a not complete sale? What is a complete sale? If the house is sold and there's no valid deed of trust, is it a complete sale? Anyway, just something I wanted to bring to your attention. And that's the only other thing I have, other than maybe one thing. Don't really know if I want to announce it, but several people have asked me. High-profile case, State versus John Stewart. I will be testifying on the 19th, Wednesday. I'm supposed to be there 8 in the morning. Don't know what time I'll testify. Probably right after that. The 19th. It's not this next week. There's no court this next week in that case, but it's the following week, Wednesday.
What is it about?
Too big a subject.
Not for here.
Can you send out?
See her after the meeting.
Yeah.
That's just, for those of you that wanted to know.
Can you send out an email on that?
What?
Can you send out an email on that?
I would prefer not. If you have a question, just ask me. Anyway, that's all I have unless anybody had any comments. Okay.
Thank you.
Next on committee reports is Jeff Smith. He's not here, correct? No report there. So now we go on to old business and update on Republic IDs. Brad.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Brad.
We heard hearing all these stories. I'm sitting up here, I'm like, man, there's a lot of things going on. But I have a good story to share with you, okay? I'm sure most of you know, right now across the country, there's all these protests, Occupy Wall Street, and they're going all these different places and protesting.
Phoenix is coming.
Yeah, and I have a story for you that happened. This happened in New York. A friend of mine that was there protesting, and what's really going on that the media is not telling us about. There's a great mixture of people that are there from all types of backgrounds. Some people that are well informed and some that are not, but they feel that something's wrong and they're seeing people gathering up downtown and they're going to protest too. Well, this friend of mine has a friend that is they're Obama, they're Democrat, they're all about the liberal, whatever you want to call that, and I don't even agree with the left-right argument because there is no left and a right really, but that's another story. But so they went to the protest because they want to tax the rich, and they were throwing all these jargon. But what happened, what was interesting at this event, was that this person was, they were doing chants, they do all these different things while they're out there, they're holding signs, and this pro-Obama person was doing something, protesting and holding their sign, and looked to the right of them, and it was somebody from the Tea Party protesting as well. And my friend was next to her when this happened. She's like, "What are they doing here?" And he said, "Well, they're protesting about the same thing. They don't, it's the banks, the Federal Reserve, And they're like, well, what? Wait a minute, they weren't supposed to be protesting here. They're on the right. You know, this whole argument about the left and the right. But really what's happening is that they're protesting about the same thing. I'm getting calls from friends. I have friends in Chicago, all the different, and they're calling me or emailing me or texting me, and they're like, Brad, you know what? We're arguing about the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm realizing it. You know, that they're saying, they're realizing it now. What's happening actually starting this weekend is we're going to start protesting the Federal Reserve different locations. And that's happening starting this weekend. And what's going to happen is people are going to realize the truth, because it's not Wall Street, really, that's the the originator here. It's the Federal Reserve and the 6 banks that own it.
They're here.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
you have to, and so there's a great awakening happening on across the board. Even my brother called, and he listens to NPR, and he doesn't know about the Republic. And he called me, he goes, Brad, how did you know a year ago that we were arguing about the same thing? Because they're talking about it on the radio now.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. Well, you're going to see more. Anyway, I wanted to share that story. That's happening across the country right now. And I think even though I'm not really, there's a lot of police acts in New York that I don't agree with, and how they're treating people, and I don't agree with that. I think it's great because people are getting away from the TV and starting to explain, you know, practice what they believe is wrong, and going out there and expressing it. There's a lot of confusion out there, and the people that you might say are ignorant and maybe are oblivious to what's really going on, that is a great opportunity to educate them about the truth, okay? Don't ridicule them, educate them, okay?
I heard the Oath Keepers are joining them now.
Yes. Yeah, this weekend, starting this weekend in New York, the Oath Keepers are going to start protesting the Federal Reserve.
There's also reports of Marines and soldiers dressing up in full
Yes,
dress attire, going down to protect the demonstrators.
that's correct. The kind of conversations I've actually had with some of my, I try not, I don't force the Republic and what I know on people. They need to be convinced themselves. I can't be convincing people. I just give them information and they educate themselves. That's what I believe and what I practice with my friends and family. And I get emails of questions on different things, and slowly, there's a great, it's exciting because there's just a great awakening, and I think that's good news. And I just wanted to share that point. Yes.
Yeah, tomorrow there's going to be a demonstration in front of the Federal Reserve outlet here in Phoenix. It's on McDowell and 47th Avenue.
Okay.
And I don't remember exactly what time it's officially starting at, but I think if you just go down there, there's going to be people. They're going to be chalking the sidewalk and so forth.
Okay. Well, I think it's a positive thing if you do it safe, and obviously there's a peaceful intent, but I think we need to put some sunlight on the truth, and that's definitely going to start waking people up.
Brad, are you saying that we should love our liberal brothers and sisters?
I say,
Love everybody.
what I'm
Love
actually
everyone. That was Jesus said.
saying- Hey, you know what I'm saying? It's just an opportunity to educate. I mean, there's a lot of liberal friends of mine that I went to college with that are realizing the truth that we all have known for a long time.
Right.
This is new to them.
Right.
And I think it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity.
One thing I always tell my people that I know that are liberal and on about tax the rich because man's got everything is, you're walking along and this bum asks you for money, right? You give him some money and you go in the store and you come back out. Does he offer you a job then? No, because no poor guy like that has ever given anybody a job. It takes money.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you don't get a job from a poor guy.
Yeah.
You'll get work from a poor guy.
We're watching history happen right now, and I think it's a good thing. There's some very tough times ahead too, and I hope that you're prepared for that. We're going to be talking about that a little later, about what we've set up for us as a republic. And Robert's going to do a presentation on that after me. And I'm real excited about that. We've been working on it for a while. Anyway, I wanted to share that story. Just an update. I know I'm supposed to talk about IDs, but I'm a representative for you, and I want to give you an update on what's going on. That wasn't mentioned. So another thing that's real exciting that's happening is the Southwest region, which including Hawaii. So it's Hawaii, California, Arizona, Nevada, I think New Mexico, and Utah. They were on a call about an hour and a half ago. I couldn't get on it because of our assembly. They're starting a regional think tank for the Republic with all these free states coming together on a conference call and sharing what's successful, helping out each other, communicating, getting to know each other. And this is going to start happening across the Republic. This is kind of like a little experiment in how it should be structured. This will start happening across the board, and kind of like a regional conference. But that might turn into a regional assembly that doesn't have any voting rights or anything, but just people get together and maybe communicate with other states and people that know their locales and share information. There might be a website with a forum to help with that, but I think the conference call is all it's going to turn out to be. But it's real exciting. We had a call last week, and of course Arizona's doing well, and so they were asking all the questions to us, but everybody had something to share, and I think that's a great thing. So any representatives here, I highly recommend you jumping on that call. I think we have it every other week. Okay, share that.
Is that on the calendar? Put that on the calendar?
I could put it on the calendar. It's not there yet. I'll put that on there. The ID committee, I'm chairman for that, for Arizona. And I want to give an update on that. We've had some very in-depth conversations on that. I think we're to the consensus for the good of the people and the safety of the people, and based on even the stories we're hearing tonight, that we should not implement the ID system until we have nation status. I think we're all unanimous on that decision, because nation status gives that jurisdictional, power and standing. So that's really important. But in the interim, we're going to be working on ID design and content and what information will be on there. But that's almost pretty much done. But I think the system itself and all that implementation of that will wait until we have nation status to do that. Okay. Any questions regarding that? Okay. Yes, Robert.
So, what happened at a national level? Did you bring it to national in terms of getting a House committee on IDs?
Yes.
What's happening there?
The week after we had our assembly, I asked the House Speaker, Mark Williams-Berry, to form a committee on that. That went under one of the other committees. They had one that was already started. And so they're working on that. I want to try to get on that. I've been pretty busy the last several weeks, but I want to try to get on that committee to help them out and update them on what research I've done and what we have done.
Do you remember what the committee is?
I don't, off the top of my head, I don't. I'll give an update on that. Any other questions as far as representatives is concerned? I have a question. I know there's some representatives here. It's hard for me to say, but I need to call it out now. We need representatives getting more involved. Some of you guys don't show to the meetings, and I think it's time we get involved. We need you. We didn't have quorum during the last meeting because we didn't have enough representatives there. And I know everybody has busy schedules, but this is a time that we need you to show, okay? And I'm understanding the scenarios, but this is the time, and as we move forward, we're going to need your involvement even more, because there's a lot of things, and Jim's going to do a presentation to show you how involved this is going to get here. We're creating a nation here, rehabbing a nation, and getting it running again. It takes a lot of work to do that, and we're all volunteering to do this. But we need you. I just want to throw that out, with brothers and sisters here. Okay, that's all I have to say. Oh, Carla?
I forgot to announce this, I apologize. We also need a grand jury foreman. Yes.
Carla says that we need a volunteer for a grand jury foreman. So if you're interested in that, approach Hal Epperson, Governor Hal Epperson on that.
On last night's call, it was said that
Which call was this?
a representative call
Oh, yeah.
Tuesday night.
Oh, yeah.
This Friday? No, it's last night's
Tuesday.
call, wasn't it?
I don't know
Yes,
if you're gonna talk about
last night's call.
Yeah.
One of your panelists was talking, I think it's Justice Peachy, talking about how we've not been doing the grand juries right, and that the grand jury foreman should be chosen from the grand jury once there's a cause for it to be brought up, and I thought that was good.
Okay.
So that's, thought I'd throw that out, that just came out last
Well,
night.
there's two situations there. One is a grand jury that's going to sit because they'll be on for a year or two.
Right.
And we talked earlier about, in all republics, that there'll be federal grand juries. And if they are, when we get rolling, when we got standing, and we have to hear a lot of cases, for instance, looking at people that are in prison, at some point when we can help there, that the grand jury can sit for a time and they'll get paid, and then their grand jury foreman could be permanent. But a grand jury at a county level where there's, not so many cases, that's exactly right. So when we really get rolling, will each state have a federal grand jury that's sitting, let's say, for a year or more, because they're going to be busy, 40 hours a week? Yet to be seen.
Any more? Bill?
Is there anything in place, or could there be something put in place whereby the body politic can be informed about these lack of appearances and lack of quorums for doing business in the legislature, so that we can, because we need to.
Well, I think one of the best ways would be having the minutes posted on the website under the update section. That's what I suggest. So you start doing that and making a due diligence of that, because they'll have the attendance on there.
And you'll continue to let us know when we have these meetings that there's not quorum?
Well, right now, the congressional meeting for Arizona is on our calendar under events. It's every 2 weeks now, on Sunday at 2 p.m. So we can have guests as well. I think sometimes, right, Doug?
Yeah.
We're welcome guests. So if you guys want to show up and even watch what we're talking about, what we're doing, we welcome you to do that. But every other week, we have one this coming Sunday, I think, yeah. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, guys.
I'm going to do a quick presentation on the last couple of months. I've been working on a budget. What started out as a budget, for those of you that don't know, I was asked to be on the cabinet, the president's cabinet, as an ambassador to the UN. And before somebody wants me to lay down and they can kick me, I've heard a lot. I get some almost vitriolic hate mail. How could you join such a demon, devil worshiping, whatever, join such an organization? And I pondered that. I couldn't, the first night I announced it, somebody in our assembly was just mad at me for, what are we doing? Why are we getting involved with that? And the same reason that all of you are in this room is because something's wrong. And so I started, asking people then that threw that at me, is let me ask you a question. Do you have a driver's license in your wallet? Do you have a social security card? So you're sitting here casting aspersions upon me for getting involved with an organization that we want to turn around, and you're a member of the same organization and you got the proof in your wallet. It's the same organization. So the reason we're here to turn around that, to take the adhesion out of driver's licenses and all of that stuff. There's nothing wrong with IDs and traffic and license plates and all